What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily with me, Mike Zakarian, as we continue to dive into Boston's tumultuous offseason. I don't know if that's the right word that we would use, but today we've got another rumor swirling after what felt like a quiet couple of days. We're back at it. We've got some Vegas updates for both Summer League and the NBA Cup. And then, of course, as always, we wrap up our videos with some of your comments from a previous video, and then we go back and forth. It's just good. But before we get started, do me a favor. If it is your first time here checking out the Celtics Daily, subscribe to the channel, hit the little notification bell so you know the next time we're dropping that sweet Celtics content. And speaking of Celtics content, the content that's coming up the next couple of days might be swirling around Anfernee Simons. And I know everybody has already talked themselves into Anfernee Simons being a Boston Celtic, myself included, and Brad Stevens, because we are just fresh off of Brad Stevens' press conference less than 48 hours ago, where he looked everybody in the eye, said he was very excited for Anfernee Simons to join the team, and said the roster that we have right now is the one that will be heading into the regular season. Well, as soon as the press conference ended and as soon as we finished recording the video, essentially, Brian Windhorst of ESPN and on the Hoop Collective podcast noted that the Celtics are actively and aggressively trying to move off of Anfernee Simons. Now, to me, I thought that was obvious until Brad Stevens had his press conference, because this team going into the regular season being over the second apron, being in the luxury tax, like none of that made sense. And so they had to make another move. And it felt like it was either going to be Sam Hauser or Anfernee Simons. Now, Anfernee Simons making $30 million a year for at least this upcoming year before his contract expires. It's a little bit more of a desirable contract because it's an expiring contract, and it like really aggressively gets them under. So Simons makes the most sense. What I figured we could do here is throw out some teams that were linked to Anfernee Simons in the past, and some other teams that could be active in trade talks with Boston. So the first three that have been linked to him before, you get the Dallas Mavericks, the Golden State Warriors, and the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't think, if we're being honest, I think the Warriors are probably not in the mix. The Golden State is in this weird spot where they are the only team so far this entire offseason yet to have made a move. They haven't done anything. They haven't figured out what they're doing with Jonathan Kuminga yet. They're all the rumors swirling around Al Horford, if that's where he was going to go next. They still haven't done that. It's a very, very weird situation, I think, for Golden State. And maybe they're just in no rush and they're fine pumping the brakes. I do think Dallas is a pretty interesting trade target, right? They are going into this NBA season with D'Angelo Russell as their lead point guard. I think that is bad if you're trying to win. Dallas also, yes, they got Cooper Flag. I'm very excited to go see him in person, actually, as I'm recording this later today. But the Anthony Davis already went under an offseason procedure for his retina or whatever. He's supposed to be back for the start of the season. But Kyrie Irving, who everybody's like, well, he got an ACL tear, he should be back soon. He said himself he's not even putting a timetable on his return. Like, he's not even confident he's going to be back for the playoffs. He said he wanted to be 150%. So if that is true, and Dallas is trying to compete in a Western Conference, which is far more competitive than the Eastern Conference, I'm sorry, D'Angelo Russell is not enough. So, and they also have all of these bigs ready: Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, and they still have my guy and yours, PJ Washington. So somebody like Anfernee Simons, who can shoot the heck out of the three ball, can do a little bit of playmaking and facilitating on an expiring contract. You could absolutely see somebody like PJ Washington and some other contracts thrown in for somebody like Anfernee Simons. And I think that would be very good for Boston, because it would give them some more size. Whether it's Gafford, whether it's PJ, whoever it is, I feel like that's good for both teams. So I think we keep an eye on Dallas and the communication between the two teams. Another squad who is very good at making bad deals, the New Orleans Pelicans. For those that forgot, just a couple weeks ago at the NBA draft, they traded up in the draft to go get Derek Queen, who I really like. I thought that was a good move until it was reported that it was an unprotected first-round pick. That was part of the reason the Atlanta Hawks just cooked this offseason. But the Pelicans right now, they don't have DeJounte Murray essentially for the whole season. He had another Achilles tear last year, or the end at that, when was it, like March, I think, of last season. Sorry, as I spill all of my words. It is early here. but they don't have a guard. They've traded for Jordan Poole, so that's kind of interesting. But I don't really see that being like a long term solution. Adding somebody like Simons for I like again, I'm not sure exactly what the move would be, but the Pelicans are a team to pay attention to. Whether the Celtics would be just getting back some contracts or whatever. Few more teams here. Orlando, I think they kind of like they would still be in the Anfernee Simons market, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be the right landing spot. I think the Phoenix Suns could be kind of interesting if they're really going to sign and trade Bradley Beal. They're going to have some guard openings. They also, for everybody that gets so mad at how much Jaylen Brown makes, the Suns, here's some extensions that happen. So next time, again, you're like, oh, Jaylen Brown's overpaid. Chet Holmgren just got a rookie max extension, 5 years, $250 million, fully freaking guaranteed. Devin Booker just got a 2-year extension for like $145 million, something crazy like that. So the numbers are now getting astronomical. So just keep your JB hate to yourself. We could keep an eye on the Cavs. I think that's kind of interesting. But the Detroit Pistons would be the other team that I would keep an eye on. I don't know, the Pistons aren't going to be moving off of anybody like Ivy, but they did lose Malik Beasley to him betting on himself, which, God, that story is just so sad. But they lost Malik Beasley. They did get back Duncan Robinson, but I still think Simons makes a ton of sense there. The Spurs, I think they have too many guards. I know they've been kind of linked to Simons in the past. I don't really see that. Cavaliers maybe, but I don't think so. I think like honestly, the New Orleans Pelicans makes a ton of sense. Dallas, I think by far is the team that the Celtics should be linked to the most for potentially trading Anfernee Simons. And I like again, I as I said yesterday in yesterday's video, I thought maybe they would just go in after Brad's comments going into the regular season, then maybe try to trade him mid-year, but now it looks like the Celtics are trying to do it a little bit more aggressively, which I don't blame them. I think you probably want to get a feel for your roster, like even for Anfernee Simons, man, he doesn't like he's probably like on Airbnb just trying to find a new home. Like what are we doing here? He wants to get comfortable. He wants to know where he's playing and doesn't want these rumors hanging over his head. But them's the breaks. That's the business, right? So we'll have to wait and see how Brad handles this. Maybe boots on the ground. I'm going to be in summer league. Maybe we'll get some new information. Speaking of Vegas, though, let's get to Vegas. Las Vegas. The NBA Cup announced their groups yesterday. I've been fortunate enough actually to attend the Final Four of the NBA Cup the last couple of seasons. And it's been a lot of, or the last two. There's only been two, and it's been a lot of fun. It's a good time. But the Celtics have yet to get themselves to the Final Four. But they've announced the groups, and the Boston Celtics are in Group B. And honestly, looking at this group, it looks like tough but beatable, right? So you get the Celtics, you have the Brooklyn Nets, the Detroit Pistons, the Orlando Magic, and the Philadelphia 76ers. I'd be curious, like, how do you guys feel about the NBA Cup? Like, are you interested in this? Did this move the needle at all for you? Maybe if we were more successful, we'd care more about it in the Cup. Honestly, I've enjoyed it. I think it's kind of fun to throw something different in there, and it seems like the players are into it. And as long as the players are into it, I'm going to be into it because that's going to give us a higher level of basketball in November and early December. This is clearly just a marketing move by the NBA. They sold it right to the Emirates as the sponsor. I think a lot of the games are going to be on Amazon. So, like, of course, this is just straight finances. Adam Silver wants us watching basketball before Christmas, right? That's essentially what's happening here. But if the players are into it, I'm into it. Like again, that just is competitive basketball. I could do without the goosebumps style courts. I think those courts or aggressive. I feel like I needed like 3D glasses or something in order to take it in. It's just very bright. It's very bright. But anyways, that I think that group, if you were looking at it, Orlando's probably the betting favorite, but I think, the Celtics should be better than the Nets. I would put them right there with the Sixers. I think Orlando and Detroit maybe on paper are considered a little bit better, but again, I think Boston would be able to fight in that group. You look at some of the other groups, Group C, just absolute garbage. I can't believe they got this draw. It's the Knicks, the Bucks, the Bulls, the Hornets, and the Heat. Like, come on. Come on. Group A, you've got like the group of death. Maybe not the group of death, but they get Atlanta and Cleveland. I think are going to be two of the tougher teams in the East. Then the Pacers, who again without Halliburton, Siakam, they do have Siakam, and then they got the Raptors and the Wizards in that group. So That'll be a fun one. But yeah, I'm curious how people feel about the NBA Cup. It's going to tip off on Halloween. Ooh, spooky. And then again, as always, ends in Vegas for the Final Four, which was a lot of fun. And speaking of Vegas, Summer League. I'm heading out. And honestly, my flight is in an hour. You don't know when I'm recording this, but you can tell it's darker back here than normal, so it's soon. It's freaking soon. We got four. Oh no, not four games. Excuse me. That's four preseason games I was going to talk about. We've got a couple of summer league game actions. I think here are just some things that I would say we should pay attention to in summer league. I've already mentioned this before. I feel more strongly about this than Baylor Shireman than Jordan Walsh. I feel like we already know what we've got in Jordan Walsh. That might be a pessimistic attitude, but I feel like we know what we got with Jordan. I'm excited to watch Baylor Shireman. I saw some people in the chat yesterday in the comments who wanted to see Baylor Shireman get some playoff run last year. Okay, I don't know if I'm that excited about it, but I do want to see how he handles being year two in summer league. Like he literally, when you look at that roster, is the best player on this team. I think. You've got some other guys returning like JD Davison and a few other vets, but for the most part, it's really young guys. And like Hugo Gonzalez is going to, or I'm sorry, Hugo Soft H is going to be making his debut. Obviously, the rookies Amari Williams and Max Sugar are also going to be making their debut. But I think Baylor Shireman, that's like number one. That's what I want to see. I want to see how much he's develops. Does he look like the best Boston Celtic out there in Summer League? Also, in Kenneth Lofton Jr., I think he's someone who is like a summer league superstar where in these games where it doesn't matter can put up big numbers but then doesn't seem to translate to the NBA. However, he did spend some time overseas, and sometimes that's all it takes is like you remove the player from the NBA environment, allow them to actually get some real reps in professional basketball, then they come back with a new perspective and a changed game. So maybe that happens for Kenneth Lofton. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm excited to see Amari Williams too. Like we've talked about, the big depth for Boston. It's not we got to come up with a new word because it's not depth. It's not depth. Luka Garza, Namias Kita, and Xavier Tillman. If Amari Williams goes out there and gets the opportunity, maybe he can play himself into rotation minutes. You typically don't see that from second round picks, but you could. So that's what I would pay attention to. Baylor Shireman, does he go out there and cook? Maybe we get something out of Jordan Walsh. What do we get from the rookies? Hugo, Amari, and Max Sugar. And then just watch Kenneth Lofton. It's just fun. Even if it's not going to impact the regular season, fun basketball. So hope you tune into Summer League. I've already mentioned this a couple of times, but if you are going to be out there, hit your boy up. Would love to see you guys. I'll be out there from today, the 10th to the 14th. We'll be checking out some Summer League action. We've got like some meetups planned, so it'd be good to see some more people. All right, let's get to your comments. This is going to be a quicker video than normal today. Let's get to your comments, but before we do that, hit the subscribe. This is your reminder. Let's do it. All right, let's get started. Only a couple today. Our guy Alejandro Castillo 8466 says Hauser was nowhere to be found in the playoffs last year. That's why he got some hate. Baylor would have done more with his minutes. Okay. Let me throw this out here about Sammy. So I agree that Hauser was not his best last postseason. He got hurt pretty early on, right? And couldn't provide. Like that Knicks series would have been pretty important for us to have him. I think he would just help stretch the floor a little bit. And clearly it wasn't happening for him. In this postseason, though, he only played 13 and a half minutes per game. And he basically went 1 for 2.5 from 3 in the playoffs. So like it wasn't the end of the world here. He's a career 36% 3-point shooter from in the postseason. He's a career 41% shooter, but in the postseason it's 33. But again, on limited minutes, I understand we want because I know there was a conversation around Peyton Pritchard not showing up in the playoffs too. I think it's hard. The Orlando matchup was just so brutal where it was clear that we needed Porzingis, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown to lead the way in that series. The Knicks series is where it hurt the most because I do think that was both for Peyton Pritchard and for Sam Hauser. That was a good series for them because they didn't really have the type of defenders that would muck it up for Boston, and Sam should get a ton of open looks. I think to say that Baylor Shireman would have done a better job with his minutes is maybe a little too much. It's a little too rich for me. I think Joe Mazzulla, if he thought Shireman could be out there, Shireman would be out there. I don't think that's the case. But there was also another comment too in there regarding Sammy, our guy Sammy Hauser, and it was from NBA Update 8338. Says trade Hauser and Tillman for a future first round pick. I mean, I do think Sam Hauser is still going to get traded. I do. This one might be midseason when a team is just like, man, if we could just add one more 3-point shooter, I can see Hauser being included. I like from NBA Update that he included Xavier Tillman. He's like, let's try to get something for Xavier Tillman. I don't know who's trying to get Xavier Tillman, but I do think Sammy Hauser you could get like a future first round pick, like a protected one, so it's probably a late first round pick. But I do think that is something that's on the table. So we'll have to stay tuned for that. I am going to call it here. Just a heads up for scheduling purposes. While I'm out in Vegas, I'm probably only going to record something if it goes down. So if we get some breaking news out there, if the Celtics make a move, or if I see something pretty dope, I'll make sure we fire up a video. Otherwise, I will be back when I return from Vegas on the 14th. But I appreciate everybody hanging with us. The community's been growing at a pretty fast rate. It's fun to see. Keep getting involved in the comments, and we will see you next time.